working with the tool of what am I adding to the present moment, right?
Yeah.
And what I've never been able to continue with that for any length of time. And what I believe the reason is because I start to realize how much I am beating up on myself, judging myself, let's say, that it's just too painful to continue. And part of it is because I'm not necessarily acknowledging it, each aspect, but you're starting to see it.
Yes. And that is the trick, my friend, is to allow yourself to move in that direction, even with that type of an exercise, to move in that direction and neutralize it, not judge yourself, but see your choices.
I was saying to someone, I think that as you get more self-aware, self-judgment gets to be so painful that you just at some point can't continue with it.
Yes. I agree, but that also moves you more in the direction of the realization that the judgment is pointless. Because it actually is. And that the point is choice, not judgment.
Right, and everyone would agree self-judgment is useless. I can agree 100%. It's that I just don't see myself doing it most of the time.
I understand, but that is the point, is
right.
moving in the direction of replacing the judgment with choices.
And I think that's what was getting to your perspective, where people don't want to acknowledge something if they don't like it. A lot of time it's that self-judgment piece. That's where I
yes, and that is what they become stuck with.
I don't want to acknowledge that I'm like, I don't know, calling myself, bad or wrong or.
Yes. I agree. But that is the point, is moving in that direction, seeing that, and then replacing that self-judgment with choice. And that is, it is simple, but it is not easy.
Okay, so and as we expand our awareness, we're more open, we're less focused on various associations from the past, less tied up in our thoughts and reacting to our feelings. And so then we're able to see what's going on in the moment more effectively. We're able to make smarter or better choices, more effective choices. And that is where you get to the point of, as you take that further and further, it becomes easier and easier to see what needs to be done in each moment or what direction you want to move in each moment. Where in our normal state, let's say a less aware state, we have so many things buzzing around in our awareness, self-awareness, that it can be very difficult to see what we really want to do in any given moment.
Correct. Precisely. Now that what you expressed in this moment is precisely the point about self-awareness changes importances. When you aren't being as self-aware and you are, in your terms, paying attention to everything that is buzzing around you, you are making all of that important. And when you are genuinely moving in a direction of being more self-aware, all of that noise becomes unimportant. all of that buzzing around you loses its importance. Your importances change. And that is ultimately significant because I reiterate what I expressed in the very onset of this forum. You pay attention to what is important to you. You don't pay attention to what isn't important to you. Therefore, this is significant because this is the reason that I am expressing so repeatedly to be aware of what you pay attention to. Because whatever you pay attention to, you have made important. And that is the direction that your reality moves in. Because that is what you are feeding to perception.
Right, and if you're paying attention to a problem, that's what you're projecting.
Precisely. And the reason you are paying attention to it is because you made it important. If it wasn't important, you wouldn't pay attention to it.
So one way to phrase this would be that I'm erasing the problems from my awareness by acknowledging them, and therefore erasing them from my reality.
Almost, yes. And in some cases, definitely yes.
Right. I can see.
And I acknowledge that the concept is simple. And it is. Doing it, implementing it, is not always that easy.
No, and I think part of what is motivating this discussion is it helps me think about this, what we're doing in a larger context of framing it. Because, and I could see, like, one of the things that I believe is true is that as you're acknowledging what's coming up for you, and let's say your awareness is becoming more open, those issues start to dissolve, right? They start to erase, but so do other things, meaning you don't have to acknowledge every single thing, because as you expand your awareness, you automatically, those other things start to lose importance too.
Correct. You don't have to address to everything, because you automatically are addressing to everything, because, as I expressed previously, you don't have to work at all of this. When you are addressing something, your subjective awareness is what is addressing to it. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't do anything objectively. You do. But the piece of working at it is being done by the subjective awareness. That is the reason that I have incorporated these explanations about what is physically happening inside your body consciousness, what is physically happening and creating new neurological pathways, which is what you are doing when you are addressing to something. That is what you are doing.
And what would be the objective indicator of that occurring?
You become more aware of the subject in many different influences, and in some situations you are intentionally implementing choices differently than simply expressing autopilot.
Right.
And in that you are objectively implementing different actions, different choices, but the work in your terms of letting go and addressing to and making that thing, that subject, whatever it is, unimportant or less important is being done by the subjective awareness by moving it out of that one hemisphere of your brain, moving it out of that and moving it to the other. But in order to do that, you have to construct physically a new neurological pathway in the other side of your brain. And in that is what your subjective awareness is doing. It is instructing the body consciousness in action. What to do. Take this action. Construct a new groove in the brain. And then move this association from the one side of the brain to the other side of the brain, and therefore neutralizing it.
Yes. Yes, that's what I was going to say, that you'll know that when that's complete, when you don't react to that association.
Precisely. You notice it because, as I have expressed, triggers are simply that. They are a trigger that touches memory. And the memory has the association.
Right.
That is all a trigger is. It is simply something, some objective sense input that is touching a memory.
Now, what's interesting, you talk about moving it from one half of the brain to the other hemisphere of the brain. What it seems to be make that decision is something that came up is that the idea is whether this is important to my survival. Is that?
Yes.
If you believe this is important to your survival, it gets put in the part of your brain where you're going to react to it.
Yes. You are correct. Yes. You are actually correct in that. Yes. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could seem objectively ludicrous. But in the moment, when the association is created and the experience is had, then once that moment passes, it becomes a memory. If the association has been established with that memory that this is a significant threat and that it is a threat to your survival, then it is placed in that hemisphere of your brain and it becomes stuck there. And it is stuck there for a reason, to alert you whenever anything is similar to that, because that means it is a threat to your survival again.
And that's it's just the way, I think, phrasing it that way, just thinking about it that way, is also a way to think about it in a more kinder way, that we could feel I've certainly felt like I'm being tortured by these associations, but that's from a broader perspective. It's, this is simply what I thought was important.
Correct.
To be safe.
Yes, to be safe.
And I might not agree with that now, but it's not going to change in one day.
Correct. And in that, as I have expressed, it is very similar, and it doesn't matter what the subject matter is. It is you and your body consciousness reacting as if you are staring into the face and the teeth of a lion. And in the moment when you make that association that you are staring into the face and the teeth of a lion, you are stamping that experience with the association of this is, yes, threatening to my survival. This is such a threat that this needs to be very close to my objective awareness always. So that whenever I meet another lion and I'm staring at its teeth, I know what to do. I know to run away.
Not realizing that because you're focused on that association of that lion, you don't know that you're actually more likely to create it.
Precisely. That also is a significant piece in all of it. Yes. And you likely will create it over and over, which is what creates the strength of some of these associations, because you do create it over and over again, and in doing so, you are reinforcing that association over and over again and making it stronger and stronger and stronger. And you don't even realize it. And you don't realize all of the reactions that your body consciousness is engaging and expressing every time that is happening, such as affecting your breathing again and again and again and again.
Wow, fascinating reality we've
It definitely is.